Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Adam, and thank you for taking the time out of the day to listen in on this presentation today. So today we're going to be talking about more speculative stock called Virgin Galactic Holdings. So I do not own any shares of this stock, but I heard about this through one of my friends, and I thought it was a really cool stock, ticker symbol SPSE. So again, pretty cool. Basically, it's a British spaceflight company developing commercial spacecraft and aims to provide suborbital space flights to space tourists, right? So it's in the space tourism industry and also potentially to get wealthy passengers from one side of the earth to the other in a shorter amount of time. Okay, but there are a couple problems with this, which we'll get into. But this stock has been basically a roller coaster over the past year. So before it was like around $10. December 2019 was like at $7.25 a share, and then went all the way up to $37 in February of 2020. So basically up like 400%. And then from its highs of like $37 and some change, it went all the way down 67% uh, in beginning of April, and then since then it has had some gains, especially in July, where it increased by 78%. But then since then, it has come down from $25.50 down 28% to $18.25 a share. Okay, so especially past sort of month has been a little bit rough. So after receiving like a 40% gain, uh, to do like at $25.54, it went back down by 28%. Okay, so the stock is basically like a Robinhood stock, which all that means is that it's popular on a retail investor platform called Robinhood. And right now, it's number 49 in terms of their popularity out of all the stocks that are offered on Robinhood. So as you can see, the green line here is number of users holding space, which currently right now sits at 156,000 people or Robinhood investors holding this stock. Which, as you can see, it just keeps increasing and it doesn't necessarily correlate to um, the price of the stock, right? So you think there might be, as the stock price goes down, there might be also a sell off within the Robinhood investors, but no, this is not the case, right? But you do see a huge spike in the number of Robinhood investors in Virgin Galactic Holdings when the stock price went up to all the way to like 30. Well, it says even here like $41, which is pretty huge. Okay, so but of course, recently one day it dropped by close to 6%. The reason for this is that they just reported their Q2 earnings and they reported $0 per share in terms of revenue and a huge loss. Okay, so most investors feel that the stock is a speculative play and that could provide long-term capital gains in the future. So of course, with a stock that's not making money now, investors feel that they will be making money in the future. So second quarter results were worse than expected. It reported a loss of 30 cents per share, which we'll see right here. So, in the quarter, they lost $62.52 million with a revenue of zero, as compared to in the first quarter of 2020, they at least did less. They at least made 238,000 in revenue against a loss of 60 million. So again, they increased the amount that they're spending or burning cash by around $2 million in second quarter of 2020. So again, they posted a loss of 30 cents per share, whereas an analyst expects a loss of 26 cents per share. And the results were pretty similar to the first quarter, except they made no revenue. But again, they made like 238,000 in revenue in first quarter, so it's not saying much that they made no revenue. Um, and again, so the most worrying sign in terms of a startup is that the startup is going to burn through all its cash. So basically, the company's cash position is down 14% from the last quarter, and it's the accumulated deficit has risen by 50% in the period. So again, this goes on to say that it's tough to say whether earnings actually matter at this stage, considering, of course, that the company doesn't generate any sales yet. You have to imagine that, of course, to be able to actually have an approved aircraft into suborbital travel is huge, right? There's so many loopholes that this company will have to go through. And so again, they also pushed their expected commercial flights back into 2021. They were expected to travel in 2020, but of course with the whole pandemic, and also I don't think they're ready in terms of with their spacecraft to actually travel yet. So that has not been good for the stock. And they also announced, well, basically they're going to dilute shares by adding more shares to the market, which we'll look at. So again, earnings quarterly are not looking good for the year, for the past quarters plus over a year. This is like they've lost 210 million in 2019, and just looking at the if they continue to lose like around 60 million, they'll lose around like 240 million annually in 2020, which will be more than they lost in 2019, right? So again, not a good sign, but of course, with a startup like this, it's tough to know whether they'll be able to stay afloat until they can finally push people into space. Okay, so we'll look at some articles. So first off, this article is pessimistic. It's saying that, sorry, let me just move this here. So Virgin Galactic supersonic jet is a commercial failure in the making. So why are they saying that? So basically, again, they delayed their first commercial space flight to 2021. And so, of course, Virgin Galactic's management appears to be excited about the concept of traveling at Mach 3, so 3 times the speed of sound, or 2,300 miles per hour. So, of course, but they're saying that this is unlikely to live up to the hype because of the failures previously in terms of supersonic travel. So, of course, the design concept revealed by Virgin Galactic calls for a small cabin seating between 9 and 19 passengers, along with a triangular delta wing and engine supplied by Rolls-Royce. So, Rolls-Royce also makes Boeing engines as well, if you don't know. And, of course, it has experience in this area, having built engines for the Concorde supersonic jet decades ago, which also failed, which we'll get into in this article. So basically, they envision a flexible cabin that can support luxurious business class and first class seating, and would be able to use existing airport infrastructure, and mention that they were going to use sustainable aviation fuel to reduce emissions. So, and then they liken the making of Virgin Galactic's plane to the failure of Concorde, the only supersonic jet ever to see regular passenger service. And so, of course, that's a big reason for cautious. Despite high hopes initially, airlines lost interest due to development delays and cost overruns. And so only 14 Concorde jets were ever used for commercial flights. And the only customers were British Airways and Air France. And because they faced government pressure to fly because it was a joint venture between Britain and France. So aside from the high cost, it's also unclear, once you pass the sound barrier, you go through a sonic boom, and that comes from breaking the sound barrier. And so the FAA is reviewing its noise standards for supersonic flight. It is not reconsidering the ban on supersonic flight over land, right? So of course, they'll have to get to outer space in order to cross the sound barrier. And so that requires a lot of fuel. So supersonic travel is extremely environmentally unfriendly. So the Concorde burned about 6,700 gallons of fuel per hour. And so next-gen jets from Virgin Galactic are likely to burn even more than this per passenger. And so leaving aside the cost of fuel, the environmental impact could lead to regulatory issues, right? Especially in this day and age where more and more consumers and people are becoming more strict about the environment because they see the impact that the environment has on the world, and in terms of hurricanes and creating not suitable conditions for farming, is going to cause some huge regulatory issues, right? So it's more feasible to fly in a jumbo jet or something like that from one place to another than it is to fly into space to get from one destination to another, even though it would be shorter to get using spacecraft. But also, a lot of people would rather choose, a longer flight where they could recline. If they're a more wealthy passenger, they could use the VIP service and they could recline on an actual plane. so that they could fall asleep or do their work on the plane, versus they would have to stay awake if this is basically saying that they would have to stay awake if they took Virgin Galactic's spacecraft. So basically, they're not saying that it's not feasible for regular passengers because one, it would be way more expensive, and two, it would also be more inconvenient. Because at least for commercial aircraft, they could recline, do their work, etc. Versus on a supersonic jet, they'd have to sure they'd get there faster, but they wouldn't be able to sleep. They wouldn't be able to recline because on the jets, that's not how they're making the jets, right? So the other thing that they have people signed up to go into their spacecraft. They have, I think, 700 like astronauts, they say. But before they get there, they also had a public offering of shares. And again, this only allows them to have around like 3 years of liquidity to deal with before they run out of all the cash they have, right? So basically, so one is that they have limited cash available. The second thing is that they're burning at it through a quick rate. And then the last point is that people are not sure how feasible it will be to actually transport passengers from one point of the world to another. It might just strictly be a space tourism and space mission industry rather than actually transporting people due to the environmentally unfriendly concept of supersonic travel and also the convenience factor, okay? And all obviously expense as well. So Virgin Galactic isn't carrying any tourists into space yet, and it's not selling any tickets. And so, of course, they're not collecting any revenue, which we saw over here, not collecting any revenue in second quarter of 2020. You can see that's blank here. So, of course, is that, again, they lost 30 cents per share, 15% worse than Wall Street had feared. So, so basically, they're going to issue 20.5 million new shares of common stock, aiming to generate gross proceeds before fees of approximately 460 million. So enough cash to fund. I think they said around like 3 more years worth. So to fund another couple of years of operations at the company's current cash burn rate, which is 244 million. And the way that they got that is you can see here. So if they're burning through 62 million in one quarter, that's 240 million over the whole year if you multiply that amount by 4, or roughly. It's a little bit more. So, of course, this seems like a reasonable assumption. They need more cash in order to survive. And Virgin Galactic's stock price has fallen nearly 20% since their reported earnings. And now their recent share price is $18.25. So, again, they could keep with the current amount that they have, 360 million already in the bank, plus the stock share coming up. It should keep them alive for the next 3 years, right? So first, again, the flights might be delayed even past 2020 and even into 2021. So they already made a delay in their expected space travel, and they might even go further than this. So, of course, the future of the company, and this is why I'm not, sort of invested in it yet, because one, the fear of the pandemic, no one knows when this whole Rona situation is going to blow over, right? And two, they keep delaying their initial commercial flights. So their plan is to fly one more piloted test flight in the fall with no passengers aboard, and then to conduct a second test flight carrying both pilots and 4 company mission specialists, and then finally give the CEO his first flight in the first quarter of 2021. And only after that has happened will Virgin Galactic permit the 600 people who were interested in flying, who have reserved flights aboard the VSS Unity to fly, right? So again, how long it'll take for Virgin Galactic to fly enough passengers and to collect revenue to offset their expenses, again, who knows? And I think, if they delay this flight even past 2021, in the first quarter of 2021, that might be huge in terms of hurting their business. So right now, I mean, it's trading at a discount to its like month levels after their reported earnings. Of course, it's down by 28% now, and still, I want it to see it go, around like $10 before I consider buying, right? So basically, this is a $3.8 billion market cap company, and it's just burning through cash again, as we've seen. So, and their Q2 results were worse than expected. So again, I expect this stock to decrease even more. Right now, I think it's a purely speculative play. Kind of like gambling, you go to the casino, right? I think this is sort of similar, especially with the whole pandemic thing going on. Who knows how it's going to last? If there's a second wave, what if there's a third wave, right? So who knows how that's going to affect this whole situation here? And they might keep delaying their flights until they literally burn out of cash, right? And then this is just going to push the price down. So I'm not investing in this yet, but again, that's just my opinion. Please take my advice with a grain of salt. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just doing this for fun, just sharing my thoughts with you. But anyways, let me know what you think about Virgin Galactic Holdings, and I hope you have a fantastic day.